Alright guys, this is the notes for section 2/1, patterns and conjectures. We're going to identify patterns and make a conjecture. Then we're going to identify patterns to predict the next term, make conjectures to predict future terms, and find counterexamples to disprove a conjecture. Okay. Here's an example of a pattern. Okay. 1, 10, 100, 1000. If I were to ask you what the next term is, you can see that these are kind of in powers of 10. Each time you're multiplying by 10, so the next term after this would be 10,000, okay? And so on. So our pattern is you multiply by 10 to find the next one, okay? Now if I wanted to say find the 10th term, I could kind of easily go through that. Now I'm looking at this, the first term has a 1, the second term has 1 0, the third term has 2 zeros. So the 10th term should have 1 less than 10 zeros. In other words, it should have 9 zeros. So there we have it. 1 billion. Okay? And that's how you can find a pattern from there. And you should be able to think about this and use this to find any number of terms. Okay? Here's a second example. This is this first term. This is called geometric. Second example looks like something like this. We have 3, 7, 11, 15. What's happening each time? We are adding 4. Okay? Now if I said find the 80th term, that could be a little bit tricky. I'll show you a way that you can do this. I'm going to just list the term. So the first term, second term, third, fourth. The first term is 3. The second term is 3 plus 4. The third term is 3 plus 4 plus 4. The fourth term is 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. So you see what's happening here is each one of these is being added by 4. If I go over here, then that's just 3. If I go over here, I'm going to leave that as 3 plus 4. But this one, I'm going to use the definition of multiplication to say that's actually 3 plus 4 times 2. This one here is 3 plus 4 times 3. And using my definition of multiplication, I can also work backwards. That's simply 3 plus 4 times 1. And this would be 3 plus 4 times 0. So to find our term here, the next term, we'd add 4. But if I wanted to find the 80th term, well, let's think about what that would be. I'm going to skip that step. But let's see if I can follow the pattern. It would be 3 plus 4, but the number that changes is here. Well, if it's 80, that's 79. Okay? Now 3 plus 4 times 79 is 319. Okay? So 319th is the 80th term. Okay? So these are some ways, these are just another way that you can look at an example and try to find a pattern. Our last one that we're going to look at for the patterns is this one. It's a little bit tricky. Let's say we have 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, blank, blank, blank. What's going on here? Well, I'm starting with 1. The next one, that's a plus 2. Then plus 3, plus 4, plus 5. So what's happening here is we're adding numbers to this. In other words, we're adding, but the number that we're adding is increasing. So our first term here is 1. Our second term is 1 plus 2. Our third term is 1 plus 2 plus 3. Our fourth term is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, right? Now if I wanted to say what's the 80th term in this case, so what is my 80th term? If that's the number that we're interested in, I've actually got a bit of a conundrum because, well, I'm just going to, do I really want to have to add 80 numbers together? Not necessarily. Let's look at it from a geometric perspective, okay? I'm going to rewrite 1, but I'm going to draw it as a picture. 1 is a dot. Okay? The second term is a dot followed by a row with 2 dots. Our third term is a dot followed by a row with 2 dots followed by a row with 3 dots. Okay, why am I doing this? I want to develop a pattern that I can use to find other values. So here's my situation. I've got 1 2 3 4. They each have rows going from 1 to 4, 1 to 3, 1 to 2, so on and so forth. And you can see how this pattern would continue itself on down the line. Now the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, what if I did another pattern like this, but I'm going to I'm going to introduce it in inverse order. Now, and I'm going to use x's. Now here's what I mean by that. Here's my first term, it's going to be x. My second term is going to look like this. It's going to be x, x, x. My third term is going to be 3 across, then 2 across, then 1. You see, all I'm doing here is kind of reversing the order that I had it in before. Okay? Now why am I doing this? Let's smush them together. Okay? Here's my first term, a dot and an x. If I smush these together, I've got a dot and 2 x's, then I've got 2 dots and an x. Now we're getting to where we need to be, but I'm just going to bear with me here while we do this other part. A dot with 3 x's, 2 dots with 2 x's, 3 dots with 1 x. Okay? And finally, a dot with 4 x's, 2 dots and 3 x's, 3 dots and 2 x's, and 4 dots and 1 x. So what we have here is we've taken these two numbers here. These are kind of what we call triangular numbers. And we've doubled it, and we come up with a rectangle. This is 1 by 2. This is a 2 by 3. Do you see what I'm talking about? This is 3 by 4. And this is 4 by 5. Okay? So 1 times 2 is 2, right? 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 4 is 12, and 4 times 5 is 20. That's how many numbers there are in each one of these things. But if I just want to find one of those, I got to cut it in half. So I'm going to cut each one of these in half, and let's see what happens. 1 times 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 times 3 divided by 2 is 3. 3 times 4 divided by 2 is 6. 4 times 5 divided by 6 is 10. If you'll notice, these are the first 4 terms here. 1, 3, 6, 10. Let's continue the pattern. 4 times 5. Well, 5 times 6 divided by 2 is 15. That's our 5th term. 6 times 7 divided by 2 is 21. That would be our 6th term. Okay? So, in other words, for each term here, you're taking the term value, adding 1, multiplying and dividing by 2. So if we go back to that question, what is the 80th term? It'll be 80 times 81 divided by 2, okay? Which is 3,240, okay? So we come up with patterns, and that's how we find the patterns to make an analysis. All right. Last but not least, we're going to look at our final term, which is how do you disprove something? Okay, really quickly, I want to make sure we understand what when we say disprove a conjecture with a counterexample. So Mike says the grass is wet. I guess it rained. Jane says, no, I turned on the sprinkler. That seems like a little bit of a mundane situation, but let me tell you that this is actually what proof is about, or in this case, disproof. If he's saying that if the grass is wet because it rains, then Jane says, no, there's a different reason that the grass could be red. You could have a sprinkler on, okay? Or there's another reason you could have dew, right? You could have dew. Dew can make it like a condensation can happen too, okay? So if you try to make these absolute statements, all you need is one statement to disprove it. So that's when we take a conjecture, it can be disproven with a counterexample. So if I say if I multiply a number by 2, it makes a larger number, and you can think of a lot of statements that support this. If I say 6 times 2 is 12, well, 12 is greater than 6, right? If I look at a fraction, 2/3 times 2 is 4/3. 4/3 is greater than 6. So there's reasons to believe that, well, that seems to be true, because we tend to think in terms of positive numbers. But what about 0? 0 times 2 is 0. Is 0 greater than 6? 0 equals, is 0 greater than 0? No, 0 equals 0. So 0 is a counter example. Okay? Now, ideally, you just need one counter example to think about this, to prove it. So that 0 by itself proves it, but that's not the only counterexample that you could have come up with. I could have said -5, right? -5 times 2 is -10. Well, -10 is less than -5, not greater, okay? So -5 is a counterexample as well. So when you're trying to think of counterexamples, it's very good to remember to think about 0 and negative numbers, because they are oftentimes the key to this. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Remember that the assignment Math Excel 2-1 is due before we start class next week.